Hello, my name is Ray Salazar, and this is Morning Real. If I see it, I review it. It's a 3 to 4 to 100 minute or so podcast of films that I review, of all ages, of all kinds, all countries, Technicolor, black and white, reverse, infrared, animated, drawn, whatever. I see it, I review it. Now, today, I'm very happy to talk about this film called Paddington 2. What? Ray? You're reviewing Paddington 2? Yeah, man. You know why? Because recently this year, about a couple of months back, I read this article, thanks to Google, about the most top reviewed film of all time, right? And I'm just like, all right, well, I'm pretty sure it's Citizen Kane, right? Yeah, right. If it's not Citizen Kane, it could be what, the Seventh Seal? No, right? Seventh Seal? Maybe Star Wars: A New Hope? No. Paddington 2. Paddington 2. That is Paddington 2. It's a 2017 live action animated comedy film written by Paul King and Simon Farnaby, directed by Paul King, based on Paddington Bear by Michael Bond, which ironically, this film was dedicated to Michael Bond because he had passed away the year that the film came out. So, it's a good film to honor a man's life, right? Produced by David Heyman, starring Hugh Bonneville, Sally Hawkins, Brendan Gleeson, Julie Walters, Jim Broadbent, Peter Capaldi, Hugh Grant, and Ben Whishaw. Cinematography by Eric Alexander Wilson. Edited by Mark Everson and Jonathan Amos. Music by Dario Marianelli. Production companies Heyday Films and Studio Canal. Studio Canal. This is a good film, man. The best film of all time, or the best reviewed film of all time? I don't know, man. Like over Citizen Kane? That's quite a stretch. I mean, this film has it all as far as like what you see in a dramatic, maybe comedy film. And there's a lot of comedy in this film. I mean, it's a film that's really like focused on adults and children and the like. It's a family film of sorts, you know. It's a little edgy, you know, but it's wholesome as a whole, because even when you see the violence in that film, you don't see no blood, you don't see no gunshots, you know. It's tame as hell. But crazy that a film as tame as Paddington 2 is, it gives you enough to be wondering about what's gonna happen next, right? So to not give too much about this film, because honestly, this is a film that I wish everybody could watch, because it has everything you would want in a film as far as, you know, comedy. There's slapstick humor. There's moments where Paddington just messes things up, but like for the sake of his generosity, right? Of who he is. And honestly, when you watch the bear Paddington, it's crazy to see how at least in the world of the film of Paddington 2, right? Humans live amongst bears. Or at least that bear in particular, right? Or like the couple of bears that are in the franchise period. Humans are aware of Paddington, of his existence, the fact that he is a talking bear that could walk upright and live amongst humans, right? And isn't going to be triggered by the sight of blood or, you know, a raw piece of meat. You know, this is just what it is, right? And we accept it. I accept it. And honestly, the focus is not really on that. But this film is really about acceptance. You know, like when you think about it, all what Paddington wants in his life is to see Aunt Lucy again. And obviously Aunt Lucy and Aunt Lucy's husband or whatnot pretty much saved Paddington. And this is kind of like shown in, you know, in the beginning of the film, which is cool because I would not have not known that, right? And did it need it? Yeah, because it is a clear indication and reminder of how important that person, Aunt Lucy, is to Paddington and in his life and his development as a being. The whole plot of this film is to basically to see Aunt Lucy again, right? She lives in another country, and it's her birthday. It's coming up. Paddington wants to do something really nice for her, and what he really wants to do is pretty much send some things to her, right? And that's crazy. He wants to like give back and make money, and maybe wants to fly her in, right, to London because that's where he lives, right? But guess what? A burglar crashes into this store one night because Paddington, he can't get a regular job really, because he's like kind of like a walking liability. But the fact that he's a bear, and that sucks enough as it is, right? But he doesn't care, man. Like he's determined to make that money so he can fly Lucien on her birthday and whatnot, and just show her London because that's the bond that they have, right? Like it's through a place, right? Because it's been told, right? So Paddington witnesses a burglary, right? Of this book that he loves, right? It's a book that flips open and shows all kinds of stuff from London, England, and all that stuff. And he wants to send that to her, but guess what? Got burglarized, and he's chasing the burglar down, but he just couldn't catch up to him. And the cops are just kind of easily convinced that it was Paddington that did it, and obviously with no evidence. And the burglar is kind of like a magician, like just disappeared right before his eyes with a touch of smoke. Poof, it just happens, right? And Paddington ends up in jail, and it sucks. 10 years in jail too, or in prison, right? And that's where Paddington's charm just comes alive, right? Because he is a good influence to others. And it's crazy how in the film he is sort of constantly being challenged to pretty much do the wrong thing, or to have a negative mentality of like life and people, right? Because hey, guess what? He's in jail. Well, you know what? Maybe I am a criminal. Maybe I do deserve here. Like nah, that's not gonna enter my mind, and it does not enter his mind. And he makes friends out of it, and it's a children's film, it's a film directed towards, the general audience, it's wholesome, so it's not crazy. But to see Jackie Gleason, play an angry like prisoner chef, and still manages to like make you like him, because I mean he's scary, dude. He's just, at least he's scary to like everybody else, right? But like Paddington's like, well, I got something on my sleeve, right? And it's funny how food kind of like turns things around and gives the chef some heart, dude. And that's cool, man. And it's funny how it works, because next thing you know, it turns out the chef knows his way around this prison. I mean, he's been there forever, enough to know about it, and decides, you know what, we're gonna break out. And guess what? I owe you a favor, and boom, here's the favor. Come with me, right? And Paddington's like, well, how else am I gonna make it? I can't just wait on my family to figure out the crime. And that's crazy too. The family's on it, right? They're not convinced that Paddington is a criminal. There's just no way. They just know it by heart. And it's crazy how like in any other ordinary family film, that's it. There's nothing else that could happen. There's no like no detectives, no nothing, right? But this family's determined to get Paddington out of jail. And it's crazy how the events come together, because Hugh Grant's character, the guy who plays the burglar, who's a egotistical, eccentric actor, Hugh Grant's amazing in this film as this guy, man. You can tell that he had a bunch of fun. You can tell that. I mean, Hugh Grant, man, he's been in Hollywood for a while, in and out of the spotlight, and you can tell when you write a film and you write a part for a certain character, or you write a part for a certain actor, or you feel like, man, you know what, maybe this actor can kind of pull this off. And you can tell that Hugh Grant really put himself into that character, and it's nice to see that, man. Like, Hugh Grant can pull it off. He can play comedy, he can be charming, he can be just extra, and it's great, man. And I love how the third act works out, how the event the things that happen, how they tie up. The family gets closer to what's going on. Paddington determined to do his own investigation and trying to like catch this guy, and then figures out that Hugh Grant's the guy. And it's crazy how, I mean, I'm gonna go back to the prison part, the prison part of the whole like film, right? And it's crazy how you might think like, oh, he's in prison. How can this go about? Where can this go? And it's crazy how Paul King was able to write scenes where it builds up to the point where like something's got to go down where Paddington has to get out of prison, whether it's an escape or a fucking legal formality type of issue. Well, nah, he's gonna escape. He's gonna have to break the one. He's gonna break some of the principles that Aunt Lucy told him. Is Aunt Lucy like pretty much raised them and pretty much like taught and just guided Paddington how to live life right, like how to like treat others with respect and like see the good in people, and like you can change things around. And even up until the end of the film, like he always upheld the Aunt Lucy principle, and you get to see him succeed, because here's a character who really like you can tell that you can tell that Aunt Lucy is a huge thing, huge being, huge miracle in his life, because if they had not saved him, there wouldn't be no Paddington, period. And it's crazy how a film like this, where it's really a live action film with CGI, because Paddington is a CGI bear. He does not exist. There is no real bear in any of the shots of the film. And I actually thought it was very impressive because, I mean, I guess if you see Hulk or fucking She-Hulk, I guess you can make the connection and feel like, oh my God, she's just like me. Like, nah, dude. Like, nah. Paddington is somebody who we kind of all should kind of be or take note from, because he always saw the good in people no matter what. And he's been like dealing with humans all his life. And it's crazy, like he doesn't see those things. He just sees what's inside. And it's funny how he doesn't have to like say those words, how there's no scenes that depict a certain like scene like that, and it just so happens to work that way. So I'm gonna give this film a 4 out of 4 tokes, man. Again, watch this film. It's a really good film, man. One of the best films I've seen in a while. I'll say this. It's a really good film. The cinematography is great. I love how the cinematographer was able to set the scenes correctly. It's live action, and we're dealing with a fake bear, and the acting is so believable as to how the shots are set up, as to how the characters interact with each other and with the CGI bear. It's really flawless. You don't really think about how there is no actual bear there, realistically. I mean, it's there, you can see it, but like realistically, there's no bear. It's basically like maybe a person in a CGI suit of sorts, or maybe there's just no one there at all. And a lot of good films are like that, even the fucking Avengers films, right? But I didn't even notice that until honestly maybe like minutes after the film. Like, holy crap, I just saw a film with a fake bear in it, and it really moved me. It taught me something, and it's a good influence. Maybe that's why it's so well received, because, and maybe, I mean, this film came out during the Brexit era, or the Brexit situation in like England and all that stuff, the UK, and I'm pretty sure this film had a lot of like discourse of that Brexit situation. So maybe if I did my homework on that, maybe I could see more influence that was put on because of the film, right? But either way, I urge everybody to watch Paddington 2. I'm probably gonna watch the first Paddington and see what that's like. But this film's kind of hard to beat. It has everything there. It has morals, has perspective, has comedy. It'll make you laugh. It'll make you cry. It'll make you wish to be a better person. Check out my website, morningshotfilms.co. Thank you.